The college football experience, Virginia Cavaliers 2023 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. Yes. What are you doing? Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Once again, that is sportsgamblingpodcast.com /Patreon. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app to get last minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Use the promo code SGPN for $20 off. I'm sorry, promo code CFBX. I always forget I have my own. CFBX is the promo code to use for $20 off. We're also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use the promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code SGP.
Hey, this is Derek Stevens. I'm the owner of Circa Las Vegas. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Welcome to the college football experience. Virginia Cavaliers 2023 season preview episode. Oh, I'm excited to talk about the Wahoos as we go into year 2 of Tony Elliott in Charlottesville. And look, I mean, this is a pivotal year. I think you obviously had that the tragic events that happened from the season before, but obviously the ACC seems to be a bit of a mystery as far as if they're going to be a conference in 5 years or not. So I think it's really important for the schools that haven't put football first necessarily over the past few years to really get a grasp on it. I'm talking to the Virginia Cavaliers. I'm talking to Boston College. I'm talking to Syracuse. All right. Perhaps Duke and Wake Forest as well. We're going to talk all about it. You're probably wondering just who the hell you're listening to, and that's fair. My name is Colby Swiggett, Database Dad, AKA Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
Man, there was a time when I was a kid growing up where Virginia had a quarterback named Sean Moore who was fucking nasty, and they almost played for the national championship. After that, they had a guy named Mike Rowe, and I remember them beating Florida State, the number 1 team in the land, and they had Rondé Barber, Tiki Barber, Charles White, all these great guys, man, but that is a long time ago. For the most part of the past 20 years, Bronco Mendenhall had a few. I think Mike London had a decent year here and there, but it's been some tough sledding for the Cavalier fans. I am joined by my co-host. It is great to see him back on the show. He is the host of the NBA Gambling Podcast and the WNBA Gambling Podcast, which you should be subscribed to. Give it up for Terrell Furman Jr. How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? It feels good to be back in college football. Like the people are forgetting, and the people are forgetting. They think I'm a basketball guy, Kobe. They think I'm a basketball guy.
Well, you are a basketball guy too.
I
am.
Know what I mean? I am.
But we're football and basketball, right?
I mean, man, we love football around here, man. Like I can't wait. I'm super excited. Week 0 on the horizon. Let's get it.
All right. Well, let's talk about Tony Elliott, because that was not an ideal first year, but you got to give him a little bit of a pass because of the terrible events that happened. I wouldn't wish that on anyone's first year. Any coach ever. I don't care if it's your 30th year. But it was not going smoothly before that. And then, I guess if you looked elsewhere, he was a co-offensive coordinator of the Clemson Tigers with Jeff Scott. Jeff Scott went down to South Florida and was terrible, got fired. One of his other assistants was Brandon Streeter, who had the Clemson OC job alone a season ago. He got fired. There's been some smoke there of like, hey, maybe these coaches weren't that good, and Clemson was just that much talent, that much more talented against the other ACC foes. Do you buy into that? I think it's a little too early for us to judge Tony Elliott, as a head coach. But where are you at with Tony Elliott?
Oh man, it's way too early to judge. I don't think we're there yet. Like,
yeah,
he came in, let him get his guys in the program. Like, we're still rolling, off of the last regime and their guys. And so let him get his guys in the program, let him build what he wants to build on the transfer portal and get those guys some reps and develop that talent there at Virginia. Like, I don't think they're in a bad spot. I think they had a down year, and down years happen to everybody. Everybody has down years. So it was a terrible situation that he walked into, and it didn't get worse as the season went on with the tragic events that happened at UVA. But I'm fairly optimistic for Tony Elliott's regime at UVA, and I kind of hope they give him the time to be able to develop that team as he can, because I think that they offensively they can be something really, really good in the future.
Let's talk about time though, because this is what, and this does not regard. I mean, this will have to involve Tony Elliott essentially, but I'm not even directing it solely at him. I prefaced this a minute ago that the ACC granted rights. They're in this spot where, and I think people just saw what happened to Stanford and Cal. They might even be part of the ACC for a few years here, but we're kind of at this spot where it's like put up or shut up. Teams like you just saw the Kansas Jayhawks throw a shit ton of money into their football program. You're at this point where football is driving the needle as far as where you're going to reside as far as a conference. Really, the future of college football. TV execs are making the shots. If you're not taking football that seriously, unfortunately, I think the crossroads are coming where you're going to have to decide, or you're going to end up in the Conference USA or the FCS, or maybe get rid of football altogether, which some programs might do. I think Virginia is one of those schools in the ACC that has not been going all in on football, just like Boston College, just like Syracuse. And I would even say, maybe you could throw Duke into that mix. That Duke seems to be starting to commit more money to football. Kansas, as we alluded to, used to be a basketball school. Now they're saying, okay, we got to get things together. Time might not be a virtue that Tony Elliott has, because we don't know if the ACC will exist 5 years from now. And let me tell you, if the ACC doesn't, I know theoretically they said maybe the SEC or Big Ten would be interested in Virginia, but also maybe not. And if that doesn't happen, where does Virginia find themselves? I think it's critical years when you look back, 20 years from now, you're going to sit there and say, these are very critical years regarding the future of the sport.
Well, I could tell you
your program. Yeah. What's that?
I think they're a Big East school.
Basketball.
I think they're a Big East school. Yeah. I think that I think they just tank the football program and say, we're a Big East school. Like, that's it. Like, because football is king, and it's going to, like, Colorado did not go to the Big 12 because of their basketball team.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah.
Not because of their UCLA, USC. They're not going to the Big 10 because of their basketball teams. Like, no, it's football. Football runs everything. And so if you're not putting money into the football program and you're just cutting your losses, I mean, that's probably the best place for you to go. You got a deal with Fox. The Big East gets big time deals. You don't hear anything about Marquette football. You don't hear anything about
Xavier.
You only hear about UConn football because you're listening to this podcast. But if you weren't listening to this podcast, you wouldn't hear about anything about UConn football. So,
Jim Mora, baby, give me the over on the Huskies. No,
so it is just like, I think that's where I think the future is for Virginia. I think they ultimately, if they say that football is just not doing it, they cut their losses. They say, all right, ACC is not surviving. We're not going anywhere because of football. So we're just going to tank it and we're going to go on to the Big East.
See, but that to me is like that's a huge decision. They're used to getting $30 million a year in the ACC. Yep. You know what UConn makes in the Big East off their deal? $5 million a year.
It's crazy.
5. So you're talking about a huge hit. That's why I think these teams gotta start throwing their money into football, and perhaps it starts with Tony Elliott
And weak Virginia, their boosters ain't they not like Virginia Tech boosters. Like they ain't got boosters like Virginia Tech that's gonna throw money. Virginia Tech gonna throw money at football regardless, whether they're good or bad, they gonna throw money at it. But the common folks over there in Charlottesville, they don't have the same thought process as us.
They need to change it. They need to change it or get used to that $5 million a year. Folks, we're going to talk all about Tony Elliott and how the UVA offense, defense, and special teams will be looking in 2023. We're also going to talk about the transfer portal and see, we try to grade and see if they, which teams have won the transfer portal. It pretty much works for every single team except the service academies and strangely the Clemson Tigers. But before we do all that, and by the way, we're going to go game by game on the schedule for the Virginia Cavaliers. But before we do all that, I want to tell you that the UVA Wahoos 2023 season preview is brought to you by Game Time. Look, buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be that stressful. All right, it should not be that stressful. And sometimes it can be. You could say like, "Hey, I'm going to get these tickets," and then you get to start tailgating or something. You realize maybe I made a mistake by not getting the tickets when I thought I should have got the tickets, or vice versa. Maybe you get the tickets early and the team's terrible or something and you're trying to get rid of it. Either way, going to your favorite event shouldn't be that stressful. And Game Time's a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all things sports, music, comedy, and theater that's near you. With killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you'll be having at the event. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has tickets on deals right up to the very last minute. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, and theater, and more. And get this, they have the Game Time guarantee, which is absolutely fantastic. All right. You'll always get the best price because if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeem that code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Oh, it's the end of August, folks. You know what that means. Time's running out. You got to draft your fantasy football team. I already did my college football fantasy draft. I got my NFL one this weekend. All right. You got to check out Underdog Fantasy because you can get championship ready for your home league by trying out the best ball on Underdog Fantasy. And maybe you don't know what best ball is. All right. That's fair. Right. But all you have to do is one live snake draft. No waivers, no trades. You set it, you forget about it, and Underdog does the rest. All right. Try it out with Underdog's Best Ball Mania tournament, the largest fantasy football contest of all time, with $15 million in total prizes up for grabs, including an absurd $3 million going to the winner. Do you have what it takes to win? Do you out there have what it takes to win? I think you might. So hop on over there. The time is now. The last day to draft your fantasy football team is September 7th. Visit underdogfantasy.com. or find them in the App Store and sign up with the promo code SGPN. You get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we are back on the college football experience. Virginia Cavaliers 2023 season preview. Now, the portal, normally when you have coaching, a first year coach come in, or the next 2 years, you can have players go. Normally right away you have a bunch leave, but also after the first year, you saw it with Colorado State and Norvell.
Yep.
Felt like throughout the year, certain players were saying, and that's fair. If they feel like this is not the right fit for them, or coach is not seeing my talent, whatever. But you normally first 2 years, and then you add on a situation where you had at Virginia, where I think even if you were wanting to come back, it might be hard considering the events that happened there. So maybe it's best to go elsewhere. So want to start off with that because I think some guys left probably because of some of those reasons. Departing though, they did have a slew of departures, and starting at the quarterback spot, Brennan Armstrong reconnects with his offensive coordinator Robert and I at NC State. I don't know if you caught our locks episode, but me and Patty C argue a lot. I think Brennan Armstrong can play. I thought last year, I thought last year, he was changing systems, which in general doesn't matter the quarterback to me. Like systems matter. You know what I mean? Like, but also I thought UVA had one of the worst offensive lines in America. So I actually think Brennan Armstrong is going to be a stud at NC State. And it pains me to say that as an ECU guy, but what's your take on Brennan Armstrong?
I think that Brennan Armstrong was kind of looking out the door too. Like he knew I don't even think he wanted to come back to Virginia that year, to be honest. I think he just kind of did. Once the coach was out, I think Brennan Armstrong he said, I'll give it a chance and see what it looks like this year. But the writing was on the wall early. He probably knew, after spring ball, like, this probably isn't going to be the good fit, but it's too late for me to go somewhere else. So I'm just going to play the year out. And that's why you saw the production like that. Like Brennan Armstrong was garbage, and you don't just go garbage like that in a year. So I truly believe that the coach left, everybody left, and he was like, I kind of want to leave, but something convinced him to stay. And he realized that he made the wrong mistake, and he just kind of sucked it up through the year. But I think that it was just bad play because he wasn't in a good situation. He didn't want to be in a situation anymore. And I think Brennan Armstrong will be a lot better of a quarterback for NC State this year.
Yeah. And you never know. Sometimes we saw Keaton Slovis transfer to Pitt because of a girlfriend. Sometimes it could be something that's
was that the story?
Yeah.
I feel like that wasn't the story. I feel like he said something about USC.
I thought his girlfriend was like a volleyball player at Pitt. I heard this. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta look into that. Yeah, we gotta fact check that. But they lose Brennan Armstrong, and then what was interesting. And to credit Tony Elliott, when Tony Elliott was hired, he brings in Des Kitchens to run the OC, who came over from the Atlanta Falcons, if memory serves me correct. But the offense struggled. But damn, 2 years ago under Bronco Mendenhall, the defense was not very good. But he brings in John Rosinski from Air Force. UVA's defense was legit last year. And but man, their best corner, Fentrell Cypress, 4-star transfer according to 24/7 Sports, heads out to Florida State, where he's penciled in as their starter. That's a brutal loss, man. I mean, losing Armstrong, losing Cypress. Okay, there's other ones too. Offensive tackle Zachary Teeter, he's still in the portal, according to 24/7 Sports. Linebacker Michael Green hit the portal. Safety Chase Chalmers is in the portal. Wide receiver Nathaniel Beal, the third, is in the portal. Offensive tackle John Paul Flores heads out to the Louisville Cardinals, where I think he's going to be starting. Linebacker Nick Jackson, I know he is starting. 4-star transfer heads out to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Running back Ronnie Walker also heads to the portal. Offensive tackle Logan Taylor heads to Boston College. I think he might be starting there. Wide receiver Billy Kemp, I know he's starting. He's now at Nebraska. Kicker Brandon Farrell heads out to South Florida. Safety Cam Kelly heads out to Louisville. Linebacker Hunter Stewart still in the portal. Man, those are some names. Those are some guys that started. That's like, I think that's a solid like 5 or 6 starters gone. Incoming, they bring in Malik Washington from Northwestern. They bring in offensive lineman Brian Stevens from the Dayton Flyers, going to the Pioneer League. And this one's big here. Quarterback Tony Muskett from Monmouth.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Tony Muskett.
Yeah.
Tony, attorneys at law. I'm trying to tell you, like, me and Kobe were arguing about this before we go. I don't know how Kobe's so down on this team. Like, I really don't know how he's so down on this team. We love Tony Muskett. I
like Tony Muskett.
How are you down on this team?
Look, once again, we saw Brennan Armstrong in a new offense. Tony Muskett is got to pick up a new offense.
Tony Muskett is going from a real playoff to the FBS, and you don't want to accept it. This is crazy. Tony Muskett is going to ball out this year.
Buddy, he needs the O-line. And to me, what's a red flag? When you bring in a guy from Dayton. Dayton doesn't even give out scholarships. You know what I mean? Like, to me, if you're bringing in, last year they brought in someone from Georgetown.
Are you talking down on the FCS? Is that what you're doing?
The Pioneer League, a little bit.
Are you talking down on FCS football? Somebody... when y'all hear this, clip this, please.
I host the FCS college football experience, folks. Get over there and subscribe.
I can't wait to the next episode so I can come tell everybody how you were talking down on the FCS. He's a phony.
Look, there's red flags on the offensive line to me. When you brought in a guy from Georgetown last year,
it's the worst part of this.
Yeah. Cornerback Cam Kelly, though, comes in from North Carolina. This was a one-time big-time recruit for North Carolina. It didn't work out. I don't know what the hell North Carolina. I don't know how North Carolina continues to suck on defense when they have like 4 and 5 stars scattered through that roster. But Cam Kelly comes in from the Tar Heels. That is a nice get. Running back Kobe Pace from the Clemson Tigers. Once again, Tony Elliott, familiar with him. Cornerback Tavion Kyle from the Iowa State Cyclones. We know he likes to get down on a few parlays.
Hey man, hey, MLD most likely DGen 100%. It's 100%.
Definitely.
And guess who? Betting is legal in Virginia.
There we go.
Hey,
there we go.
Hey man, this might most likely DGen Tavion Kyle, man. It's just smelling like that to me.
They also bring in Houston offensive tackle Ugana Nana. I think if I can pronounce, I think I got his name right there. Offensive tackle Jimmy Christ coming in from the Penn State Nittany Lions. That one's going to be huge. And then safety Malcolm Green from the Clemson Tigers. Look, I do think Kobe Pace could be a nice get. I think Cam Kelly could be a nice get. I think Muskett, though, as much as I think Muskett's decent, I do think Brennan Armstrong is better. So I think they lost the transfer portal. Would you agree to that?
I think that if you look at total body of work, they lost. But if you look at what Brennan Armstrong was playing like he was playing last year, it's not a loss. It's not. But it total body of work, 100%. When you lose, and it's not even just the transfer portal. Let's just talk about key losses altogether. They lost all 5 of those offensive linemen. Now, were they any good? No.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's really only up from here. It's really actually no, they won the transfer portal because they lost all of their offensive linemen. But no, so it's only up from here. But the offensive line is still going to be a huge loss. But I think that the transfer portal is good because they got guys that understand this coach. 2 Clemson guys, when you talk about, Malcolm Green coming over from Clemson, talk about Kobe Pace, the running back coming over from Clemson as well, like that. And, with Elliott being an offensive guy, I think that Kobe Pace is going to be really, really good for him and probably somebody that you should look at in DFS one of these days, because I think he can extend and have a really good game, especially if Muskett kind of hits the ground running. But I think that it's a loss. If we just look at transfers alone, it is a loss. But I think that this team is better than they were last year, 100%.
Well, year 2, I hope so in a way, because like your coach is probably hammered what he wants. The more you get into year 2 or year 3, I feel like you should understand what the coach is trying to get more and more. So just by that nature, I feel like they should be. But this offense a year ago was 125th in the nation at scoring. Folks, there was only 131 teams last year, so that was the 6th worst offense in America. All right, the rush
it's nowhere
offense,
but up, nowhere but up.
The rush offense was 101st, right? The passing offense, even with Brennan Armstrong, 80th, charting at the 102nd best offense in America, and they didn't play. Those numbers would probably be worse had they played the 2 more Power 5s, or no, was it Coastal Carolina and Virginia Tech? Coastal was good. Virginia Tech wasn't very good, so maybe they would have had a good outing there. Let's talk about the offensive side of the ball, because Tony Muskett, I saw he was named the starting quarterback the other day. There is that. So we got
there was no doubt with that. It was no doubt.
Especially after Jay Wolford decided to focus on baseball. Remember, he was like a 2-way player.
Yeah.
The running back situation, Mike Hollins is back. They have Perris Jones. Actually, man, Perris Jones kind of popped last year. When I did watch, I was like, who is that? Who is that? And then they do have Kobe Pace now coming in. So the backfield's actually looking pretty strong. The wide receivers, I do worry about this. You know what I worry about? When they land Malik Washington, a transfer from Northwestern, and he's penciled in to be their number 1 wideout. I worry a little bit. And then they have Malachi Fields, I think, is going to be penciled in as their other starter, and then Demick Starling, I believe, would be penciled in as their 3rd wideout. Their tight end Grant Misch is back. And then we get to the offensive line, where they did lose a ton. Now they are bringing back Noah Josie at the right guard, who did get 5 starts a season ago. He was just a freshman too. So, okay, I can understand their offensive line problems then, starting a freshman there. Center Ty Furnish who also was a freshman a season ago, he did get some starts as well. Now he didn't start the whole season, but he got some starts. Besides that, everyone else is a transfer. They get Nana from Houston, Christ from Penn State, and then they're counting on the left tackle Mikhail Boley, a guy who did play in 6 games last year, but did not start.
And none of those 3 have starts.
Yeah, see, that's a little tough, man.
None of them have starts. Yeah, none of them have starts. That is brutal. The offensive line is going to be bad, but it's really nowhere from up because that was a horrible offensive line last year. So it's literally nowhere but up from here. But I think everybody gave up last year. Like I think even early on, I just think that it just wasn't put together, and that's why I'm more optimistic and why I am higher on this team this year, because I think everybody's locked into Tony Elliott and what he's got going on this year, and he's going to rally the troops. We didn't talk about Grant Misch, the tight end. I think he's going to have a good year. He's going to be a good safety blanket for Tony Muskett as well, especially when the offensive line collapses. We know he is. Tony Muskett, he's got some mobility to him, He's got some mobility to him, but I think he'll definitely be able to check down to his tight end. So I think Grant Misch is probably going to have a really good season, but I'm higher on this offense, even though the offensive line is terrible. I think that the running back, I think that everything, if they can just get some decent, like if they can put it together, piecemeal it, and that's why they're going to lose a lot of games because of their offensive line. But if they can piecemeal it enough, they can get over this win total, and they can have a better offense than last year, even though it's hard to be worse.
I don't know, man, because I think they had better wideouts last year, man. They had decent wideouts, man, with Kemp and Lavelle Davis and they had better wideouts. I mean, maybe these guys are some. I haven't seen some of them play, so maybe they're better than what I realized. But the defensive side of the ball, and like I said, John Brzezinski, 2 years ago, he had Air Force as a top 10 defense, and Virginia's defense was atrocious 2 years ago. And he comes in and scoring defense was 48th in the country a season ago, 70th in rush defense, 30th in pass defense, starting at the 43rd best, top 50 defense. That is a very good coaching job right there.
Yep.
But and they return their entire defensive line here, led by Chico Bennett, who had 7 sacks at the I think like the DN spot. I think he might be a little bit of a hybrid there, but both defensive tackles are back, Jameer Carter and Aaron Fayumai, I think it is. I'm probably butchering your name, Aaron. I'm sorry. Ben Smiley also at the other end spot. He he only got 1 start a season ago, but he played in a lot of games, so that counts. And then the linebacker spot, obviously you lose.
That D line is going to be one of the best D lines in the ACC, 100%.
I do believe the defensive side of the ball is the strong suit of this team.
If you look at the age, 4 seniors and 3 juniors. Yeah.
The linebacking core, Jonas Sanker and James Jackson back. They are breaking in Josh Ahern, I think it is they also have Langston Long. They do have a little bit of depth at the linebacker spot. Secondary took some hits as obviously they lose their top guy. 2 guys in their secondary departed for Florida State and Louisville. They brought in Malcolm Green from Clemson.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
That's another thing though, is not only where they went. I mean, they lost the players, but they lost them to teams that are on the schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, absolutely brutal. But they do have Antonio Clary back at the safety spot. Same with Cohen King. King had 5 starts a season ago, so maybe there's something there. The kicking game, they do bring back Will Bettridge, who was 7 of 10 on field goals a season ago. Punter Daniel Sparks is back as well. He was 3rd team all ACC a year ago. Okay, so they were the 43rd. We think, okay, the defense was 43rd a season ago. I tend to think they'll be around that same area, right? I know they lost Cypress, and Jackson, and you got to remember these numbers are a little bit skewed because they didn't play their full schedule, right? But I think they'll be somewhere around, I would say 40 to 60. So I think the defense could be a little bit better, but it also could be a little bit worse.
I think it's the front 7. I think it starts with the front 7, and they're going to make things a lot easier for the secondary, and that's really where the coaching comes in. Like, that's where, when you have a defensive unit and you sit there and you say, man, this defense would be really good if we just had a secondary, or if we just had a defensive line, or if we just had somebody calling plays in the linebacking core. That's where coaching comes in. That's where you understand that a good coach says, all right, my secondary may not be able to cover for 5 seconds. That means I'm going to make sure this front seven can give them 4. I'm going to make sure that, hey, 4 seconds, you're getting a sack, because that secondary can't cover back there. I'm going to think of different protections, different schemes, different all of this stuff to be able to sit there and say, hey, we are going to get as much out of this secondary as we can. And they did the same thing last year. Like, this wasn't projected to be a really, really good unit last year. They were projected to be bottom of the ACC again, and they were really good last year. So even though I have major concerns about the secondary, especially when you look at the teams on the schedule, like you're week 1, you're playing against Tennessee. You know that offense is going to go crazy. You have NC State on the schedule. You have Florida State on the schedule. Like,
you're right. We should talk about that. There's no more Coastal. There's no more Coastal. Like, nope. All those Coastal ACC teams were kind of getting a pass.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. But I got the defense. You could sell me on them being better. No, I'm not buying the offense being that much better though, because I think there's wide receiver problems and offensive line problems. Maybe Muskett is better than Brennan Armstrong. Maybe he understands the offense better. I don't know, but I can tell you, I think if I was drafting a team, I would take Brennan Armstrong before I would Tony Muskett, and I would take last year's receivers over this year's receivers. And when I look at the offensive line, I still see a lot of concern.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. The offense to me is a gigantic question mark.
The 122nd offense still got 3 wins last year.
True. 125th offense too. Look, we're going to go game by game on the schedule. But before we do that, I want to tell you folks out there that the Virginia Cavaliers 2023 season preview is brought to you by DraftKings. Yes, you waited all year long and the time has finally arrived. College football's back, people. And so are everything that's great about college football, the traditions, the tailgates, and the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Any. All right. I told you, I'm already taking Rich Rodriguez, Jacksonville State, week 0 this Saturday. By the time you're listening, this is coming out. This is going to be right in time for you to, but even if not, week one, you know, Deion is going to cover the 21 against TCU. Let's go. Kick off the season with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app and use the promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code SGP. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. We're also brought to you by Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. Yes, make sure to check out the Patreon. Sign up for exclusive sign up for the Patreon to get exclusive access to the contest, including the NFL win totals contest with $1,000 first place prize. And the guys just recorded their first Sports Gambling Podcast Stories podcast just for the patrons, chronicling the birth of SGPN. There's even a Discord channel just for the patrons. So the Sports Gambling Podcast has and always will give out their picks for free. Don't get it twisted, folks. This is just it's just a way to support us, and fight back against corporate gambling. Those scumbags. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. All right, we are back, and now it is time. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/The College Experience. I am here with the host of the NBA Gambling Podcast and the WNBA Gambling Podcast, Terrell Furman Jr. And folks, like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/The College Experience. Remember that we also host the College Basketball Experience. When the season tips, I'm very optimistic on what Tony Bennett brought in to Charlottesville. They're going to be playing some good ball this year, I think. When the season tips, we'll be here each and every night of the season. Also, I host the FCS College Football Experience. Maybe you are a William and Mary fan. Maybe you are a Richmond Spider fan as well. Well, check out the
shout out to me, the newest William and Mary fan.
There,
just moved my sister in William and Mary.
Oh yeah, there we go.
A couple hours ago.
There we go. Go Tribe.
William and Mary fan.
There we go. So check out the FCS college football experience. We also have the college baseball experience with Noah Beanick. Virginia always keeps a good baseball program. Also we have a brand new feed, the Big 12 experience. If you're a Big 12 fan, maybe you got family in Texas, you want to learn about Baylor. I don't know, but all those are separate podcasts. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. All right. So look, if you are watching on YouTube, you see this sweet graphic. I kind of dig the old school Virginia uniforms that they went back to. 3.5 wins is the total here. 3.5. The win total a season ago was 7.5. I listened to the episode yesterday. That's a big gap. It
means they overcorrected.
Damn, if they weren't off last year, then
I'm trying to tell you, they overcorrected. They thought that all right, let's move it closer, and they're about to take another L. I'm trying to tell you.
Well, they're 28-point dogs, and for some reason this is one of these SEC neutral site games that is in really? Nashville, Tennessee. It's at the Titan Stadium.
Oh, boo.
Why not just play this? This drives me crazy. We like college football because of the home crowds, the tradition, all that stuff. Play it in either Knoxville or Charlottesville. You're right there. I don't even understand. This is like 45 minutes away. This one makes no sense to me. It's not like Virginia fans are going to travel to this. You know what I mean? Like, how many Virginia fans are really going to go see?
It's the same thing. The same thing that you was getting in Knoxville, you're getting the same thing at the Titan Stadium.
Yeah. What do you? That just drives me crazy. They're 28-point dogs for a reason, and Hendon Hooker's gone.
Hey man, I'm trying to tell you, everybody forgets. I have a question to ask, and please, anybody at me with an answer. If you can find one person that was trash before they ended up being a backup, took a year or two being a backup, and then came back and automatically looked better. There's nobody that I know that fit the bill of that. And I'm just telling you, we faded Joe Milton, but when he was a starting quarterback, I'm going to fade him the entire season with 10. Yes, 28-point dogs. Have I seen bigger dogs win? Yes. I'm telling you right now, I'm not 100% penciling this in as a loss because, again, defense really good. I'm going to give it a loss here because they're a 28-point dog, and I'm going to give them the loss here. But if we sit here and whenever you hear this podcast, when week 1 comes around, if Virginia is one of those schools that upset the big dog, I would not be surprised because Joe Milton sucks.
Well, look, they have Nico, and I can never pronounce his last name, but he's a 5-star recruit out of Long Beach that they said was looking pretty good in camp.
They're not giving him the reins at the beginning, though.
Yeah, he is a youngster, but he is getting.
Yeah, they're gonna give it to Joe. It's the same thing that happened with Hinder. They're gonna give it to Joe. Joe's gonna suck for the first 3 games, and then they're gonna go to the other guy, and then the other guy's gonna have a great game, and he's gonna start the rest of the season. It's literally what happened every time throughout Joe Milton's career. So at this point, I mean, this is the best look for Virginia. The best look for Virginia because Joe Milton is the starting quarterback here.
I'm still taking Tennessee, man. They got Brew McCoy. They got the Squirrel White. They got those running backs.
I'll say Tennessee. I'm not going to be crazy. I'll say Tennessee. They are 12th ranked preseason for whatever preseason rankings are for. They're 12th ranked for a reason. I'll say Tennessee. But the next 2, we're going to have a conversation about.
Well, the James Madison Dukes, who I think I got to give Patty C a little bit of credit. I mean, I thought they would be all right jumping to the FBS. I know NC Nick thought they'd be ass jumping last year. They should have played for the Sun Belt Championship, but the stupid NCAA rules didn't allow them to. One thing that stands out to me when I watch JMU, I'm super impressed with their offensive line. Like their offensive line last year was really, really good. And I'm sorry.
No, but see, that's why I'm saying that they're going to take the L here, because that defensive line is one of the best in the ACC, and they're going to feel it. I think that neutralizes whatever positives that offensive line was going to give them. Virginia watch the trends on the over-under. Virginia may be a really, really good under team this year, but I think that offensive line is going to get neutralized by that defensive line, and that's going to make this a fair game. Both offensive lines are going to have trouble. Both quarterbacks are going to be running for their lives. I think that at home, First home game of the season, James Madison. Yes, this is little brother, but this isn't the same little brother anymore. They're getting more respect now. I think that they're not overlooking this James Madison team. They get the win in Charlottesville.
I got JMU winning this, man. I am a little concerned. JMU did lose Todd Centeio, their quarterback. They're going with a younger guy who apparently they're excited about, but this will be his
early
first
in the season.
This will be his first road test. But
yeah, man, come on.
This place don't get too lit. All right, so let's go. Give me JMU to get it done, and then on a short week they head to College Park, Maryland, take on Mike Locksley. You hear Mike Locksley at Big Ten Media Day? That's a confident man right there. He said,
"Are you backing Mike Locksley?"
He said.
No, I just want to hear you. I just want to hear you say it. I want you to say, "I am backing Mike Locksley."
In this game, I am. He brings back Tolia. He's in his 7th year in college. I feel like Locksley saying Big Ten Media Day that they're contenders to win the Big Ten, the whole Big Ten. I'm not buying that, but I can appreciate his comments. Buddy, I got him 0-3 here, man. 0-3. I think they lose to Maryland. Maryland's got a 7th year quarterback, man. If it was in Charlottesville, maybe
7 years, and he's been okay every single one of those 7 years. I think the defense travels on the road here, makes that a close one. I will give you the loss at Maryland. They split between James Madison and Maryland. They win one. So I'll give you 1 and 2 here.
Then they have another, well, I guess 1 week later, they play Brennan Armstrong. Revenge game. Brennan Armstrong comes back to Scott Stadium.
He's going to torch them.
That's what I'm saying. I got this team 0-4 through September.
1-3 through September.
And then they head to Chestnut Hill to take on Boston College. Now, I'll say this. This is winnable.
I think they win.
This is winnable. Now, because it's at Boston College, I would favor Boston College, but it ain't by much. This is like to me like a field goal game. This is a field goal game.
I think this is literally the defense comes up big for them, creates turnovers, puts the offense in better field position, and gets them able to score in this one with Boston College. I think they eke out this one. I have them at 2-3 here.
All right, I'll join you on this win. They get it done in Chestnut Hill.
Well, I know you got me on the next one. You got have me on the next one.
No. You know who Mike London was fired?
I know.
He was
but
fired
Mike London's
by
not
Virginia.
winning. Mike London is not winning this game with William and Mary's staff. He's not winning this game.
Oh, I cannot wait to watch this game because
he's
William
going to
and
cover.
Mary,
He's going to cover. He's not going to
fade your sister's school. All right, because look,
he's going to cover. They're not winning.
Watch out, Virginia. Watch out. Mike London, not only did he play at Virginia, he coached at Virginia. He was fired. He wants this one, man. He wants this one. They beat an FBS last year. That was Charlotte. They beat him bad too. I think like 18 or 21 points or something. Dude, they're going 1-1 in that Boston College William and Mary stretch.
No, they're not. They're winning both of those games, man. They're 3-3.
So
they're 3-3 here.
You got the over about the cash already.
Because you can't. So I originally said, oh well, they got North Carolina on the road next week, maybe, but they have a week to prepare for that, and we'll talk about that. That's big. A week to prepare for that North Carolina game. They're not looking past William and Mary, man. 3-3. You're disrespectful at this point.
1 win heading into the bye week, and guess what? They go to that wine and cheese crowd in Chapel
Hill.
Hill.
1 win in the non-conference. You got them with 1 win in the non-conference,
dude. They could lose every game on the schedule this year.
No way, no freaking way, man. You're insane.
They play at Chapel Hill, now oldest rivalry in the South. These games are always wild, though. I will say this: these games are always wild, so it wouldn't shock me.
Virginia covers; they don't get the win.
Yeah, that's what I first
cover.
thought.
They don't get the win.
So I got them losing that. Then they head down to Miami, Florida. I got to take Miami, even though I think like these games are wacky too. This game, they almost beat Miami last year. I still think they're going to lose this game.
I think the only reason I'm taking Miami is because the back-to-back road spot. But if this was flipped and Miami, they were playing Miami after the bye, I would have took Virginia.
Now on November 4th. So I got them with 1 win on November 4th.
I'm cashing my over by the first week in November. I'm cashing my over.
Because Brent Key and Georgia Tech come in and they're starting Haynes King, the former Texas A&M kid, and I'm not a big fan, but
I didn't like him.
Yeah, this is a winnable game. This is one
Georgia Tech coming on their home. Yeah, they're winning this one. This cashes the win total. I'm just letting you know the win total's cashing here.
I'll even join you as a second win here. Give me this as a win.
You're still on the second win.
Yes. And
dude,
I think they could lose it.
Disrespectful.
Then on a Thursday night, they're at Louisville. I am very high on Louisville this year. I think Louisville's going to fuck them up.
Yeah, I on the road against Louisville, I think they take a L. And it's a short week. It's a really short week. They play that on Thursday, so you go from Saturday to Thursday. That's 5 days in between. Like I think they get the break speed off them in Louisville.
Then they turn around and they host Duke. Duke beat them by 21 a year ago, and guess what? Duke returns 19 starters off of that team from a year ago, including Riley Leonard. They're not winning this. They're not winning this.
Duke still sucks. Wow, you brought back 19 starters. You brought back 19 starters of a team that sucked. So you probably should have let a couple of those guys go, if you want to be honest. But
man,
no,
Duke's gonna
they have
them.
extra time. And this is where you guys are disrespectful. They have look how much time they have to prepare for this team. They basically have 2 weeks. You go from November 9th to November 18th, 9 days to prepare for this game at home. You just probably lost 3 of the last 4 games here. This is going to be a huge spot. The only thing that I could say is that they're looking ahead to Virginia Tech coming.
Yes, the Commonwealth Cup.
Only thing. But if they're looking ahead, they get the win against Virginia Tech. Now,
well,
Virginia Tech guy, I don't think that's going to happen. So they win Duke, lose Virginia Tech.
I could see them, dude. I was shocked. Can we talk about this for a second? I got them losing to Duke, but the Virginia Tech game. Virginia Tech goes out in the offseason, brings in Keon Drones from Baylor, who, I was like, oh, okay. Because one thing last year that stood out to me was Grant Wells, not very good. Virginia Tech named Grant Wells the starting quarterback yesterday. I'm a bit dumbfounded about what's happening in Blacksburg. This game's winnable. This is a winnable game. Now, I would favor Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's going to win the game. They're going to win the game. I got them
2-10, and I'll be honest. I think
you
I'm being
crazy.
I think
How did you get 2-10? This is a soft schedule.
No,
this is like one of the softest. Like I think only Virginia Tech has a softer schedule in the ACC. This is a soft schedule.
No, they play 10 Power 5s, and I consider JMU pretty damn close to a Power 5. And then they get William & Mary's a top 10 FCS school.
But you get Georgia Tech at home. You get Duke at home. You get to go on the road to Boston College. Like that's a winnable game. Like they just have so many those 2 favorable home games in the conference already, combined with me already giving them 2 wins out of conference. Like we're
Dude,
good.
They could go winless. They could go 0-12.
5-5. Is that no? What's that? 5-7. They are 5-7 ball club.
So with Jay Wolford quitting football and going to baseball, that was their backup quarterback. Don't let Tony Muskett get injured because you'll be on quarterback number 3. You want to talk about blueprint to 0-12? That's your blueprint to 0-12.
That is the blueprint. But if Tony Muskett does not play, and Tony Muskett has had injury problems in the past. I think he only played 8 games last year, actually. So I expect to see Tony Muskett revamped, and this is his shot. Like Tony Muskett was lighting up the FCS, and we like to back those guys when they move up. We like to back those guys when they move up.
But I actually think Monmouth might have had a better offensive line than Virginia.
Probably so. Not gonna lie.
It's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be fun to watch, folks.
And I'm locking up Virginia over.
No, mine is a lock. Mine is a lock on the under. We got a lock battle there. We got a lock battle.
I'm sorry. This is a 5-win ball club.
There's no way they're going to get 4 wins here. There's no way they're going to get 4 wins. Where the hell is this? We got a lock battle going on in Charlottesville. Terrell Furman Jr. on the over with the Wahoos. Your boy picked Dundee, taking you to the land down under with UVA under 3.5 wins. I am not even doing shtick. Patty C's not here. I think they could go 0-12, man. If they circle that William & Mary game, if they lose that William & Mary game,
they're not losing to William & Mary.
If they lose that William & Mary game, you better watch out.
Oh, what is with you? Like, you're insane.
Folks, Folks, Terrell's on the over, I'm on the under. And look, I had a chance to sit down with Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour. Michael has been to every I like to say every football game that's ever happened, but he definitely goes to a shit ton of football games. There's 133 teams in the FBS. He's been to all those stadiums. He's been multiple times for games, not just to visit the stadium. So I got a chance to sit down with him for him to talk about Scott Stadium and his travels to Charlottesville. So with no further ado, here is that interview. Joining me on the College Football Experience, Virginia Cavaliers 2023 season preview is none other than Michael Barker, a.k.a. College Football Campus Tour, on Twitter at CFB Campus Tour. Michael documents via his Twitter account his college football travels, which is unbelievable because he's been to all 133 college football stadiums for games, not just for visits. And he's been to a lot of them multiple times. He's been to a lot of the FCS, a lot of D2, D3, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's a must follow if you love college football at CFB Campus Tour, because Michael not only does he document his travel, he documents like the history of the stadium, does the photo of the game, and it's just remarkable the work that he does. Michael, I appreciate you hopping on the show, talking a little Scott Stadium, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. 1931, this place opened, so a lot of history at Scott Stadium.
Yeah, I'm looking at photos of it right now, and it's really a cool looking stadium. Like, Virginia's in this spot, in my opinion, where if they need to really put football first, because basketball is great and everything. And I think football and basketball is your money makers. You want to go heavy into both, but the ACC could collapse at any time. And to me, if you don't have your football program really attractive, you're going to end up in like the Conference USA. I say that for now. Virginia's a little bit different. Maybe they get the invite, but for like Boston College and stuff, I'd still say you want to solidify that. They should go all in on football because this stadium is fantastic. It looks beautiful, at least. I don't know. Tell me about the history of the stadium.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it opened 1931. When it first opened, it had 25,000 seat capacity. It's now up to 61,000 seat capacity. Scott Stadium is there was a major donor. His name was Frederick Scott. I should say that the official name of the stadium is Carl Smith Center, home of David A. Harrison III Field at Scott Stadium. That's the official name. It's the oldest FBS stadium in Virginia. The record crowd was in 2008 versus USC, 64,947. And you mentioned it looking cool in the photos. What I really like is in the north end zone, there's these columns that flank the scoreboard, and then there's a grassy hill below it. And if there's a big game there's overfill fans, and they fill that spot. So just cool little Soldier Field kind of columns vibe combined with, the ultimate college experience, having fans sitting on a grassy hill. So definitely a lot of cool aesthetics at Scott Stadium.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what makes it gives it personality. It looks like you're right. That's a good comparison. Soldier Field before they took down those columns. Unbelievable. How many times have you been there, man?
So I've been there for one game, and I believe it's either the or one of the biggest games in program history. It was the 2019 finale against Virginia Tech. They always play the finale against them. It's called the Commonwealth Cup. And going into the game, Virginia had lost 15 straight to Virginia Tech. In that game, they won 39-30. They snapped the losing streak. They won their division for the ACC, and they made it to the ACC title game and got to rush the field. Ran up before with the fans on the field, ran up, took a photo with everybody on the field, and then ran down and participated in it. So only one game there, and it was maybe the biggest game in Scott Stadium history. Very fond memories, and I hope to get back for another game. It's been 4 or 5 years now, so I'd love to get back again.
Yeah, that sounds like a great. Anytime you get to rush the field or something, it's awesome. That's part of what makes college football so amazing. I mean, folks, you got to give this guy a follow because look, he was telling me his travel schedule for week 1. It's like 10 different cities. I feel like it's planes, trains, automobiles, everything. And he documents all of his travels via his Twitter page. Once again, at CFB Campus Tour. He does a photo of the game. It's really well done. This is not like some idiot just saying, I'm at college football games. Here's a photo of my beer. and look at the tailgating. No, this is like professionally done. Michael, I appreciate you hopping on the show talking Virginia football in Scott Stadium, and maybe one day I'll catch you at Scott Stadium.
Yeah, we got to get this one in. There's a lot of other D1 schools right in the vicinity, a good candidate for a 2-for-1 on a Saturday, but we got to make that happen.
For sure, brother. Appreciate you hopping on, and I look forward to seeing more of your travels this season because, I got to set an over/under on how many airplanes you'll be on from late August until the end of December. I would say I'm going to set like the over/under at let's go 40.
Well, last year, regular season, 90 days, it was 52,000 miles. I don't know how many flights that was, but I might take the over on your 40. So we'll see.
Thanks for hopping on the show, man, and best wishes on the season, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Colby. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Take care. Michael Parker, Scott Stadium. You know what's crazy, man?
Hey, he's not allowed to come back to the Commonwealth Cup. I'll tell you that right now. He is not. I will personally make sure that I am outside the stadium with a pitchfork. You are telling me that's the game he went to?
He won the one time.
Game, that's the one. He is not allowed there ever again. Oh my gosh, that is disgusting.
He's got. Watch out. He's going to the Central A&T game.
Is he?
Don't let him jinx that.
Am I going to be there? Yeah,
don't let him jinx that one.
He better not. I mean, we just lost to him last year, so hopefully it's coming back for us this year. I don't know. I'm not high on A&T this year. I think they might lose that game again, but.
Yeah, Central's looking pretty good too. So, folks, check out the FCS College Football Experience, and make sure you check out Terrell Furman Jr. Once again, give him a follow on Twitter at @reallyRel__. Make sure you subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast and the WNBA Gambling Podcast because Terrell does great work over there. And folks, give us a follow on Twitter at TCE on SGPN, and I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. And season's here, folks. Let's go. Let's get it going. When the season starts, 5 days a week at noon, I will be live. And guess what? You will be able to hear myself and Terrell Furman Jr. Saturday mornings, an hour before kick. All right. So if you're out, I guess we're talking to fans most likely on the East Coast. So at 11 a.m. on the East Coast, tune in. YouTube.com/The College Experience. Also remember the college basketball experience. UVA is going to be good this year. Let's go, folks. Until next time, this is the College Football Experience UVA Cavaliers 2023 season preview episode. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.